already in place there with all this armada and the offensive force being assembled under the pretext to defend the threat of Iraq against Saudi Arabia.
Mark Parrish from Austin College. Mr. Ambassador, responding to the Iraqi government's claim that chemical weapons were not used against its own people, because we live in the information age, we have been provided with videotape and pictures of Kurdish townships with bodies lined throughout the streets, massacred. How can the Iraqi government stand up to this claim in face of this overwhelming evidence?
Well, you see, my friend, how this is another example of the fabrication, confusion, and outright lies. The confusion between using chemical weapon during the war and the claim that use chemical weapon after the war. The picture that has been broadcasted million times is of a town, Iraqi town called Halabja. During the war with Iran, the Iranian occupied big chunks of Iraq, and they wanted to penetrate Iraq not only from the south and the middle, but from the north, with the help of some terrorist guerrilla group, Barazani and Talibani group. They bombarded this town first with a conventional weapon. We have asked most of the population out of that town. When our forces were able to withstand the first punch, we had information the Iranian going to use chemical weapons. So we withdrew further, and it was the Iranian that used on that Halabja, and the picture that you have seen in the paper, they used cyanide. We always said that during the war, chemical weapons were used after the Iranian used it first. Nobody believed that. Until a month and a half ago, and here I am willing to mimeograph for you an article. That's the only article that was not recopied, as the case with other smear on Iraq, that somebody says something about Iraq, everybody like the herd instinct play, copy it. But in this case, nobody copied it. Mr. Patrick Taylor, journalist in the Washington Post, you should lift up the telephone and call him, and I am willing to provide you that article. He took the information from the Pentagon, stating unequivocally that it was the Iranian who used cyanide in Halabja. And there were only 100 to 200 civilians killed, not 5,000 that every day they bring that picture to the American public to brainwash them. And this is, you should, as an academician, you should check this story for your satisfaction. And I am willing to supply anyone with, I have a copy. Whenever this question is brought, I give them a copy of, and you should check also with the Pentagon. It is not what I say. It is the Pentagon says that.
Brian Despain, Boston University.